All right, in this video we're going to be graphing some decimals on a number line, and there's a couple things we need to learn. First, we need to learn a good process for being accurate to find where our points belong on the number line, and secondly, to use the circle tool, the solid circle tool, for plotting points on a graph and then labeling it neatly so that it can be read easily. So when we do this, it says there's a hint that we should look at first before we start graphing. And the hint says make sure to mark the halfway points between each whole number. This will allow you to be more accurate. All right, so we're looking at this right here. And I know that the halfway point between the whole number 0 and the whole number 1 is about right here. Okay, that's and then between 1 and 2, the midpoint is about right there, and between 2 and 3 it's about right there. So we're going to try to figure out where those halfway marks belong, and then once you have that, you can either write underneath or label it with the actual decimal that it represents. And this one would be 0.5. Remember, 0.5 is a half as a decimal, and this right here would be 1.5, and this right here would be, I'll put it a little lower, 2.5. So we have our halvesies labeled, and now we're going to want to graph these. One thing you're not allowed to do is you're not allowed to go like this. You're not allowed to go, that would be here, and this would be over here, and this would be over here. You're not allowed to do that. It doesn't say draw lines from the numbers to where they fall in the number line. It says graph it. It says use the circle tool to label each point, or create each point and label each point with the decimal. So it has to be done that way. You got to follow directions. So the first thing we're going to do is we've got the halfway, check that off. Now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go to the shapes and I'm going to select circle. Then I'm going to go up here to where we find our colors and thickness for our pens, and these options right here. Fill shape. If it's checked, it's going to fill a solid circle in. If it's unchecked, it's going to leave the circle open. You want it filled when you're plotting points. So we're going to click the fill shape and then pick a color and keep it black, or pick a color. I'm going to pick blue. So 1.3. So I'm going to go down to the number line. I'm going to go to 1 and I'm going to go to 1.5. It's somewhere between 1 and 1.5. So it should be on this side of the halvesies. It shouldn't be over here. It should be to the left of 1.5. Now, between 1 and 1.5, it's closer to 1.5 than it is to 1. So I'm going to put my point right there. If I don't think it's on the number line well, I can just click on it and move it. So I have it right there. And now I'm just going to take my text tool, because I think it's just easy to label this point by just typing it right underneath 1.3. And then I can adjust it, I can move it so I know it's sitting right there. So now I've plotted 1.3. Now I'm going to go and grab my circle tool again, and I'm going to go to 2.5. Well, 2.5 is halfway between 2 and 3, and I've already marked it because it was a halfway point. So I'm just going to drop a blue dot on the number line. And finally, 0.89. It falls between 0.5 and 1. It's closer to 1 than it is to 0.5. So I'm going to make sure I plot it closer to 1 than 0.5. And then I'm going to grab my text, and I'm going to label that one because it isn't already labeled. Click on it and type 0.89. And then if I need to, I can slide that number over a little bit. And it's nice and neat, very easy to read where you plotted your points, and they're accurate. Okay, you don't want to make a huge circle for your plot. You don't want to do this. It covers too much and it's not as accurate. Just enough that it's solid circle. And the other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to float your circles. You don't want to put them up here and then label it. It needs to hit the number line. It needs to be right on the number line, so we don't have to draw a line with our eye to the number line to see if you've got it. All right, so that's basically how you plot, graph numbers on a number line using the solid circle tool and labeling the decimal point that it represents. So again, start with the halfway points as your benchmark points. And then once you have your benchmark points, it's easy to see which side you need to be on of that benchmark. And then from there, you can decide, am I closer to the upper whole number or the halfway point, and plot it with your solid dot.